Good evening and welcome to our program. This series is focusing on This Is Your FBI. This Is Your FBI was a radio crime drama which aired in the United States on ABC from April 6, 1945 to January 30th, 1953 for a total of 409 shows. The show featured true cases from the FBI and was told from an FBI agent's viewpoint. FBI Chief J. Edgar Hoover gave it his endorsement, calling it our show and calling it the finest dramatic program on the air. Generally, I do not include advisories. Given Hoover's polarizing nature, I will share this. Dramatized stories created for propaganda purposes are not history. They tell one biased side of the story, and in no way am I saying that these are reliable stories. I just believe them to be interesting when viewed through the scope of entertainment and weird history. Finally, I'd like to send a specific thank you to publicdomainreview.org and archive.org for organizing and compiling all of this media. If you would like to listen to standalone media, we have included a link in the description.
The Equitable Life Assurance Society presents This Is Your FBI. This is Your FBI, the official broadcast from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, presented as a public service by the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States and the Equitable Society's representative in your community. Would you be surprised if, a few minutes from now, your telephone should ring?
Hello?
This is the Radio Checking Bureau. Is your radio turned on now?
Why, yes, it is.
What program are you listening to, please?
This is your FBI.
Do you know the sponsors of that program?
Why, of course I do. It's the Equitable Life Assurance Society. Why, just last week, I got my Equitable representative to bring me that fact-facing chart for fathers they tell about on this program. Believe me, that chart is a real eye-opener. So, naturally, I know that This Is Your FBI is sponsored by the Equitable Society.
And in just 15 minutes, I'll give all fathers full information about the Equitable Society's fact-facing chart that this father found so valuable. Tonight's FBI file, the Bowtie Murders.
Almost every criminal has his favorite place of action. The jewel thief chooses vacation resorts. The bank robber must, of necessity, pick a spot that boasts a place where people deposit money. The car thief loiters near unprotected parking lots. But in the family of criminals, there is one member who needs no specific location for his crime, who has no favorite haunt at which to practice his vicious art. That criminal is the killer. Tonight's file opens in a modest cottage located on a quiet, tree-lined street in a town in Northern California. In the living room of this dwelling, shafts of late afternoon sun pick out the figure of a man seated at a piano. He is playing softly.
Pardon me.
Yes?
I may be intruding, but I'm looking for someone.
Well?
Miss Peg Sterling. She used to live here.
Oh, she still does.
Well, may I ask where she is?
She's out.
When is she expected back?
Soon.
My name is Alan Harvey.
I've heard of you.
Really?
You were engaged to Peg at one time, weren't you?
That's right. Who are you?
I'm George Danbury. I board next door.
Oh.
You've been away from here for some time, haven't you?
Almost 2 years.
Why did you come back?
Well, this is my hometown.
Only reason for returning?
What do you mean?
George.
Oh, here she is.
George, I wonder if you'd mind helping.
Hello, Peg.
Alan.
Surprise?
Yes.
How are you, darling?
Why, I'm fine. When did you get to town?
A few hours ago. I'm staying at the Central Hotel. As soon as I checked in there, I hurried right over here.
I see.
Well, aren't you glad to see me?
Oh, of course I am.
Will you please excuse me? I imagine you two would prefer to be alone.
What's the matter, Major? You restless? You want to go out? Okay, honey. One short run before dinner.
Hello, Peg.
George, you startled me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just coming in to see you. May I come in?
Yes. Come ahead.
Peg, I want to apologize for walking out as I did.
Well, it was rather peculiar.
I realize that. It was just that, well, his coming back upset me terribly.
Why? You didn't even know, Alan.
I know that you were once engaged.
Well, that was a long time ago.
Only 2 years.
That's still a long time.
Not if you were in love. You did love him, didn't you?
Yes.
Oh, well, that isn't easily forgotten.
Please, George.
Where is he now, Peg?
He went back to his hotel.
Did you tell him? About us?
What do you mean?
That you're now engaged to me.
No, I didn't.
Oh, Peg, why not?
Well, it was all so casual. I didn't have a chance. Please, let's not talk about it now.
Oh, Peg, we must. There's something I have to know.
Yes, George?
Does his coming back make a difference with us? Does it, Peg?
I don't know, George. I don't know.
Some 50-odd miles away from the little California town, the San Francisco field office of the FBI, Special Agent Jim Taylor has a problem, too.
Oh, Jim.
Oh, hello, Paul.
Were you looking for me?
Yes, you're going to have to count me out of that bowling match tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Jim.
Taking a trip to Fresno.
What's up?
Well, I heard about an unsolved murder down there. Made me sufficiently curious to call the local police and get the details.
Yes?
From what they told me, it sounds like another job by the bow-tie murderer.
Bow-tie murderer.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Well, that's a pretty lurid title. How did he get it?
By strangling his victim with a rope, then tying the knot in a neat bow.
Oh, I see.
Don't you remember him in that Indian reservation case?
No. Oh, I guess that was before I transferred to this office.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What are the details?
Well, about 11 months ago, a woman's body was found on an Indian reservation on the outskirts of Yosemite Park. She had been strangled in the manner that I just described it.
Yes?
There were no witnesses to the killing. In fact, the body wasn't found until a week later. We learned that she and a man had been on a camping trip. A honeymoon, as a matter of fact.
Well, how'd you learn that?
From the girl's parents, after we had identified the body.
Well, could they give you anything on the man?
No, she didn't live at home. She'd just written to her parents, telling them about the marriage and the proposed trip.
Oh. Any clues at the scene of the crime?
Just one. A set of tire tracks that was made by what was obviously his car.
Well, did they lead to anything?
No, we just have them on file.
And nothing ever turned up on the man?
Not a thing, Paul. He disappeared without a trace.
Jim, this killing in Fresno, did the police pick up the murderer?
No, he got the jump on them, too.
But you do think it's the same man?
Well, I'll be able to answer that one better, Paul, when I get back from Fresno.
What's the matter, boy? Major.
Peg! Oh, Peg!
Oh, that's you, Alan?
Yes.
I'm back here in the garden.
Oh.
Oh, now, Major, stop that. It's Alan. You remember Alan?
Well, hello there, fella.
Major,
Oh, good
don't jump
boy.
all over him.
Oh, he's
Down,
all
boy,
right.
down. Down, boy, quiet. That's better. You care to share a swing?
Love to. Beautiful night, isn't it?
Lovely.
Hope you don't mind me dropping around.
Well, of course not, Alan.
It's good to be back.
You know, Alan, you still haven't told me where you've been.
Oh. Well, I won't bore you with a play-by-play. I've been in Europe mostly, working for the government.
How exciting.
It's still good to be back. Peg,
Yes?
I want you to know something. I was a fool to ever leave here.
Please, let's not talk about the past.
But I want to. That silly fight we had. My walking out was the biggest mistake I ever made.
Alan, that's all forgotten. I'm completely over it.
That's what I was afraid of.
What do you mean?
There's someone else, isn't there?
Well...
That man who was playing the piano this afternoon.
Yes,
Serious?
we're engaged.
Who is he?
His name is George Danbury. He boards next door.
How long have you known him?
He moved in about 10 months ago. He came here for his health.
Where's he from?
The East.
What's his background?
He's a musician.
Where's he work?
He gives concerts. He just returned from a tour yesterday. Why all the questions?
You're engaged to the man. I want to know something about him.
Alan, he's the sweetest person I've ever known.
Well, thanks.
Darling, you weren't exactly sweet.
Look, what has sweetness got to do with being in love? We were in love. You'll admit that, won't you?
Alan, let's not start to fight again.
I'm sorry. Peg, are you going to marry the guy?
Yes.
Hello there, Paul.
Oh, well, welcome back, Jim. How was
Thanks.
Fresno?
I've got quite a story.
Well, let's have it.
Well, first of all, I've definitely established that both murders were committed by the same man.
Well, how'd you do it?
With those tire tracks we found on the Indian reservation. But, unfortunately, I didn't come up with a killer.
Well, what's the story on the second murder?
Well, more or less the same pattern as on the first one. The victim and her newly married husband went on a camping trip outside of Fresno. She was strangled. Bow tie knot. Her body was found several days later.
Was the victim identified?
Yes, she came from Los Angeles. Lived alone, met this man, married him shortly afterward, went on the trip.
Well, how'd you find that out?
Well, she wrote to an aunt in San Diego, gave her the details.
Well, how about the girl's friends? Could they give a description of the man?
No, she kept pretty much to herself. The Los Angeles police are checking, but so far they haven't gotten anything.
How about a motive for these killings, Jim?
There just doesn't seem to be any.
What?
No. Neither of the victims had any money.
Well, you think he just wantonly killed them?
I'm afraid so, yes. Paul, I believe we're dealing with some sort of homicidal maniac. And they're usually the most elusive and cunning of all killers.
I know. Jim, tell me some more about those tire tracks.
Oh, yes. Well, the Fresno police found an old tire that had been discarded near the camping site.
Yes?
They took an impression of the treads and compared them with the tire markings that we had found at the reservation. They were identical.
This was a tire the killer had thrown away.
Apparently, yes. And, Paul, it can be our first good lead. I've already contacted the company that made the tire, gave them the number on it. They'll look up the dealer it was sold to and then contact me here.
Hello.
Oh, I didn't hear you come in, Mr. Harvey.
The door was open. Where's Peg?
She went out to the garage.
I suppose I should congratulate you.
What for?
Peg told me last night that she's going to marry you.
That's right.
You're a lucky guy.
Thank you.
Danbury,
Yes?
Peg tells me that you're a concert pianist.
Yes,
You're from the East?
I am.
Where?
New York.
What brought you out here?
Ill health.
You've just been on a tour?
That's correct.
Where'd you play?
All through California.
Specifically where?
Harvey, why all these questions?
I have a right to know something about you.
You have a right.
Yes.
How?
Peg is very dear to me.
Well, I happen to be the one who's married.
That's why I want to know about you. You've told Peg little or nothing about your past.
Harvey, it's none of your business.
I'm making it my business. You're not going to marry Peg.
That was Peg.
Yes,
She's out back.
I know.
Peg! Peg!
Back here in the garden.
Yeah, I see her.
Come here quick.
Oh, darling. Darling, what is it?
Peg, what's wrong?
Oh, Alan. Look, both of you.
It's your dog.
Major.
Yes.
This cord around his neck. He was strangled to death.
We will return in just a moment to tonight's file, which shows how your FBI promotes security for the nation. Now, a word to fathers about security for the family. Father, tonight I'm going to ask you to pull up that curtain. I mean the iron curtain that many fathers erect themselves so that they won't have to face facts vital to their family's future. Pull up that curtain right now and ask yourself this question.
If I should die, how would my family get through the critical years before our youngest child finished high school? How long would my wife and children continue to be well-fed, well-housed, and well-clothed?
Please don't say to yourself, oh, I guess they'd get along all right. That's pulling down the curtain again. What you're after is a true and honest answer. To help you get it, the Equitable Life Assurance Society has prepared a special fact-facing chart which has these three advantages. First, it's simplicity itself. You can fill it out in 5 minutes flat. Second, you are guided every step of the way by easy-to-understand pictures which illustrate the unavoidable expenses your family will have to meet. Third, when you're finished with this fact-facing chart, you'll have a clear, accurate, and complete picture of just what income your family would need during the critical years.
Okay, Mr. Cross, I've raised that curtain. Tell me where to get this fact-facing chart, and how much does it cost?
Why, it doesn't cost a cent. The Equitable Society representative in your community will be glad to bring you this fact-facing chart. Phone him tomorrow or send a postcard care of this station to the Equitable Society.
That's EQUITABLE.
The Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States. And now back to the FBI file, the Bow Tie Murders.
In almost every case in which your FBI finds itself involved, time is the important element. In tonight's case, time assumes a double importance. For when your FBI realizes that it is dealing with a homicidal maniac, a killer who may strike anywhere at any hour, then the race against time really becomes a race against death. The job then resolves itself into two questions, the first of which is whether or not your FBI can catch the killer. That is important. But even more important is the second question, which is, can your FBI make the arrest in time, before the maniac strikes again? Tonight's file continues at the San Francisco field office of the FBI. Special Agent Jim Taylor is just approaching his desk.
Jim,
Oh, yes, Paul.
I've been looking for you.
Been out working.
Well, this teletype came in about an hour ago from the Los Angeles police.
Hmm?
It's a description of the missing killer.
May I see it, please?
Sure, here you are.
Thanks, Paul.
Now, they interviewed several people who were casual acquaintances of the victim.
Yes, I see that. Killer used the name of Thomas Wilson.
Oh, probably an alias.
About 6 feet tall, blonde hair, 30 to 35 years old. Educated speech, wears horn-rimmed glasses.
Well, I've already sent out an alarm on him from here.
Oh, good.
Now, how'd you make out with the tire company?
Well, it's turned out to be sort of a Tinker's to Evers to chance.
Oh, what happened?
Well, I went to see the tire dealer. He's over in Oakland.
Yes?
According to his records, that tire was sold 3 years ago to a man named John Randolph.
Well, did you get Randolph's address?
Yes, he lives right here in San Francisco. I've already seen him.
And?
And he's not the man we're looking for. He sold the car the tire was on 2.5 years ago to a used car dealer named Wharton. It was a 1940 Chevrolet Coupe.
Well, where is this Wharton?
Well, he was right here in town, but he went out of business.
Oh, fine.
No, it's not as bad as it sounds. I've just come from police headquarters, and they helped me check Wharton's present whereabouts.
Well, any luck?
Yes, he still lives here. I've got an address on him.
Good.
He hasn't a phone, however, so in order to find out how he disposed of that car, I'm going to have to go out and see him. In fact, I'm on my way right now.
Am I intruding, Peg?
Oh, of course not, George.
Well, I thought you might want to be alone.
No,
I know how badly you must feel about last night.
it was awful. Why would anyone do such a thing, George? Why?
I can't imagine.
Poor Major.
Peg,
Yes, dear?
there's something I want to talk to you about.
What is it?
A conversation I had last night with Alan just before you found Major.
Yes?
Well, he insisted upon questioning me about who I was, where I came from, what I did.
What?
He said he had a right to know.
Darling, that's ridiculous.
Peg, does he have that right?
Well, of course not. Why, I actually know less about him than I do about you.
But I thought when your mother was alive, he boarded here at your house.
He did. But he lived with us less than 6 months. Then he went away.
Could I ask a great favor of you, Peg?
What, darling?
Would you mind not seeing him anymore?
Well, I have one reservation.
What?
He called this morning. He said he was going away.
Oh, yeah?
He asked if I'd see him this afternoon before he goes. Do you mind terribly if I do?
No.
You're a darling.
But I have one reservation.
What?
That we get married before another old beau turns up.
Okay, darling.
No, I mean soon. Tomorrow.
All right, tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful. And, darling, you know I have our honeymoon all planned.
Where are we going?
On a camping trip.
Special Agent Palmer.
Hello, Paul. Jim Taylor.
Oh, hello, Jim. Did you contact that used car dealer?
Yes.
How'd you make out?
Well, I spent most of the morning with him going over his old records.
Yes?
We finally came across the name of the man who purchased the Chevrolet Coupe from him.
Good.
The purchaser lives upstate about 50 miles, though. Of course, he may have sold the car, too, but anyway, I'm going to run up to see him.
Well, did you get the motor number of the car?
Yes. I sent it over to the license bureau to have them check it to see who the present owner is, but that'll all take time. So meanwhile, I'm going to drive upstate.
Oh, can I help you, sir?
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm looking for a man named Alan Harvey. I believe he lives here.
Well, he used to board here. He moved out 2 years ago.
Oh? Did you know him?
I just met him the other day.
You mean he's still around town?
Well, he's leaving today.
Do you know where I could find him?
Well, he's gone out for a ride with my fiancée, the girl who lives in this house.
Oh. Well, my name is Taylor.
Oh, how do you do, sir? I'm George Danbury.
How do you do? I'm a special agent of the FBI, Mr. Danbury. Here are my credentials.
I see.
I wonder if you could describe this Alan Harvey for me, please.
Well, I'll try. He's about 6 feet tall, has blonde hair.
About how old?
Around 35.
Does he wear horn-rimmed glasses?
Yes, he does.
And does he by any chance drive a Chevrolet Coupe?
Yes.
Well, from your description, Mr. Danbury, he could be the man I'm looking for.
On what charge?
Murder.
Murder?
Yes. The man I'm seeking killed 2 women, both times using the same technique. He strangled them with a cord that he tied with a special knife.
Oh, wait a minute. Sort of a bow?
Yes. Why?
Well, my fiancée's dog was killed that way last night.
While this man Harvey was around?
Yes.
And you say that she's out with him now?
Yes.
Where did they go?
Well, Peg said something about going out to Stony Point. That's a picnic ground.
When did they leave?
Over an hour ago.
You know how to get there?
Yes.
How far is it?
About 10 miles.
We'd better get going at once.
Alan,
Yes,
There's a storm coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think we'd better be starting back?
No, please.
But look at those clouds.
Peg, this is our last afternoon together. I'd like to stay here and watch the storm.
We'll get soaked.
Not if we get in the car. Come on.
Okay.
You're not worried about what your boyfriend will say, are you?
Of course not. George knows I came out here with you.
Did he give you permission?
Alan, please.
Go ahead, dear.
Thanks. We got in just in time. Look, it's starting to rain.
Uh-huh. Beautiful, isn't it?
The rain?
The storm. Ever since I was a kid, I've always loved to watch one. The massive black clouds, the jagged streaks of lightning searing the sky. Peg, doesn't it excite you?
Well, not exactly. I sort of get scared.
Listen to that thunder. It gets inside of me. It fills me with its power.
Alan.
Can't you feel it too, Peg?
Look, I think we should go home.
No.
Alan, I don't like this.
You're not going home.
Now, just a minute.
You're not going back to him, Peg.
Alan, please.
You're staying here.
What are you doing? Let go.
No.
No. You're joking.
Let go of her.
Oh, thank heaven.
Peggy, are you all right?
Yes.
Danbury, put her in your car.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think we can safely say that Mr. Harvey's career of murder is ended.
Alan Harvey was tried on the charge of murder. Because of his mental condition, he was sentenced to life imprisonment in a federal institution for the mentally deficient. Your FBI succeeded in closing this case in its files because of one rule, which J. Edgar Hoover, director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, long ago laid down. That rule, which is indelibly impressed upon every special agent when he goes through his course of training, is that no clue is too small to follow. Now, this case tonight is an excellent illustration of that point. For your FBI had only the factory number on the carcass of a discarded tire. But from that single clue, a killer was captured. Thus, once more, was your FBI able to serve in protecting you, the American people.
In just a moment, we will tell you about next week's exciting case from the files of your FBI. When the breadwinner of a family dies, what are the critical years for his wife and children?
The critical years are the years before the youngest child finishes high school, years in which the home must be kept together.
To help you estimate just what income your family would need during those critical years, the Equitable Life Assurance Society has prepared a special fact-facing chart for fathers. Your Equitable Society representative will be glad to bring you a copy of this fact-facing chart. Phone him tomorrow or send a postcard care of this station to the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States.
Next week, we will bring you another colorful story from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Baby Big Shot.
The incidents used in tonight's Equitable Life Assurance Society's broadcast are adapted from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. However, all names used are fictitious, and any similarity thereof to the names of persons living or dead is accidental. Tonight, the music was composed and conducted by Frederick Steiner. Your narrator was Dean Carlton. This is Your FBI is a Jerry Devine production. This is Milton Cross speaking for the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States and the Equitable Society's representative in your community, and inviting you to tune in again next week at this same time when the Equitable Life Assurance Society will bring you another thrilling story from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Baby Big Shot, on This Is Your FBI.
This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
The Equitable Life Assurance Society presents This Is Your FBI. This is Your FBI, the official broadcast from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, presented as a public service by the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States and the Equitable Society's representative in your community. Tonight, right in your own home, the telephone may ring.
Hello?
This is the Radio Checking Bureau. Is your radio turned on now?
Why, yes, 'tis.
What program are you listening to, please?
This is your FBI?
Do you know who sponsors that program?
Why, of course I do. It's the Equitable Life Assurance Society. But just last week, I got my Equitable representative to bring me that fact-facing chart for fathers they tell about on this program. And believe me, that chart is a real eye-opener. So naturally, I know that This Is Your FBI is sponsored by the Equitable Society.
And in just 15 minutes, I'll give all fathers full information about the Equitable Society's fact-facing chart that this father found so valuable. Tonight's FBI file, the Baby Big Shot.
Tonight's case from the files of your FBI is one involving juvenile delinquency, involving children who are criminals. Juvenile delinquency is a phrase that is misunderstood by many people. Misunderstood because they regard any case in that category as being the result of a childish prank. But they are wrong. For your juvenile criminal of today is not a boy or girl whose ambition is to steal a package of gum from the corner drugstore. Your juvenile criminal of today is capable of any crime committed by his elders. A few weeks ago, a store in New York was held up by an armed robber who shot it out with a New York detective. The detective was seriously wounded. The armed bandit was killed. The armed bandit was aged 16. Tonight's file opens in a town in one of our Midwestern states. At a street intersection in the Midtown district of this community, two teenage boys exchange greetings.
Hey there, Pete.
Oh, hello, Frankie.
I ain't seen you around the candy store lately.
I don't hang out there anymore.
Why not?
It's strictly for kids.
Oh. You hitching rides?
Uh-huh.
That truck there looks okay.
Yeah, we're just gonna grab onto it.
Mind if I come along, Pete?
Come ahead.
Hey, the traffic light's changing.
Yeah, I know. Grab hold, quick.
Right. Pete.
Yeah?
You're hanging out with Lefty Davenport now, huh?
That's right.
Hey, how'd you get in with him?
Hey, you heard about me. You asked me in.
That's a real big gang he's got, huh?
Biggest in town.
How's chances?
For what?
For me.
Oh, are you kidding?
What's so funny? I'm as smart as you are.
What?
What about when we used to go to the stores together? I stole more than you did every time.
You're crazy.
Pete, why can't you send me into Lefty?
Because in the first place, you're too young.
I'm 14.
Lefty's got a rule. You gotta be 16 or over, you can't join.
Ah, that's stupid.
Tell him that.
Maybe I will.
There's a traffic light.
Stay back so the driver don't see you.
Get off the back of that truck.
Uh-oh, the driver's seen us.
What's the matter? You hard of hearing?
Shut up, you jerk!
Why, you...
Come on, let's go. Okay, that's good enough. Pete, Lefty's gang hangs out in that old barge down on the river, don't they? That's right. Why? I'm going down there tomorrow to see him. Shall I see you what is, Lefty?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hiya, Pete. Oh, hello, Frankie. Lefty around? Well, he's, busy now. Why don't you come...
Pete?
Just a kid. Let me by, Pete.
Wait a minute.
Hiya, Lefty.
Who are you?
Frankie Morton. Look, punk, get out of here. Not till I talk to Lefty. I said
Hold
get
it,
out.
Pete. See what he wants. Now, what is it, kid?
I want to join up with you.
Pete, do you know him?
Yeah. I told him yesterday he didn't have a chance. First place, he's only 14. So what? You gotta be 16. Is that so, Lefty?
Yeah.
And all I can say is you don't know how to run a mob.
Huh?
What difference does it make how old a guy is? What he thinks, what he does, that's what counts. And I can outthink and outdo any guy you got. Let me throw him
Leave
out,
him alone.
Lefty. Hey, you mean I'm in?
Just done a pass.
I don't get it.
I'm giving you a chance to go out and do a job. If it's smart enough and big enough, then we'll talk about your joining the organization.
At the local FBI field office, Special Agent Jim Taylor is just greeting a visitor.
Hello there, Tom.
Hiya, Jim.
Oh, it's good to see you again. Well, won't you sit down?
Thanks.
Now, what can I do for you?
Well, first of all, I want you to know I'm not here because of any trouble.
Good.
I've come to ask a favor.
Oh, what's that, Tom?
I'd like you to come over to the high school and talk to the students.
You mean make a speech?
Well, yes.
Tom, look,
I know how busy you are, but let me tell you what I have in mind.
Okay, go ahead.
You see, Jim, as principal of the school, I can talk all year to the students on their responsibility to the community, but these days I'm afraid that isn't enough.
Oh, that's true enough.
To some of the youngsters, good citizenship isn't as glamorous as crime and criminals. That's why I want you to talk to them.
Well, what about, Tom?
Your job of law enforcement. I think it has more glamour than any dozen criminal adventures. What do you say? Would you do it?
Well, personally, I'd be glad to, Tom, but I'd have to get permission from my agent in charge.
I see.
He's out of town today. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll talk to him about it first thing in the morning and then get in touch with you.
Who's that?
It's me, Pete.
Where you been?
I sold them bags we clipped the other day.
How much you get?
$40. Here.
Thanks.
That kid, Frankie, come here?
See the one that was here the other day?
Yeah.
I didn't see him.
I seen him this morning at school. Said he was coming over to see you. Said he was doing a big job.
Yeah, what kind of a job?
He didn't tell me.
What's the story on him?
Well, he lives with his mother. She's got a little dough.
Is he smart?
He steals pretty good.
Yeah.
He thinks he's a big shot, though. You know what he said to me this morning?
What?
He says if you don't take him in, he'll form his own gang.
Is that a fact?
Oh. That sounds like him now.
Let him in.
All right. Hiya, Pete. Lefty here? Yeah, come on in. Hiya, Lefty, old boy.
What do you want, Junior?
I want to talk to you.
What about?
The other day you told me to go out and do something big, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, I done it. I got the biggest
Wait a
deal
minute. What's this talk you were throwing at Pete this morning?
What do you mean? You told me that if Lefty don't take you in, you'll form your own mob. That's right.
Look, Junior, for your information, we've got this town all cut up. Everybody has his own territory. Anyone moves in, we put him out of business. Fast.
Lefty, just listen to my deal first, will you?
Okay, what is it?
A snatch. Kidnapping? That's right. Wait a minute.
You can't do nothing like that.
Too late, Pete. I already done it.
You snatched somebody?
Sure, sent out the ransom note, too. I asked for $2,000.
What is this, a rib or something?
No, you told me to do something big, didn't you?
Who did you send the letter to?
My mother.
Huh?
Who'd you kidnap?
Me.
Frankie, oh, my poor Frankie.
Mrs. Morton,
Yes.
I realize how upset you are, but, well, I'd appreciate it if you could answer a few questions for me.
I'll try, Mr. Taylor.
Ah, that's better. When did you find the ransom note?
As soon as I came home here,
What time was that?
late this afternoon.
Have you told anyone about the note other than the police?
No, I haven't.
Now, when did you see your son last?
Sometime yesterday, I think.
Aren't you sure?
It was yesterday. Yes, yesterday morning.
And he hasn't been home since?
Oh, he must have been here last night. His bed was slept in.
Well, didn't you see him?
Well, I wasn't home last night. I was visiting friends.
Oh, I see. The two of you live here alone, right?
Yes, that's right.
Well, Mrs. Morton, tell me about your son's habits, what he does, who he sees.
Well, he goes to school, high school.
Yes.
He does all the things that other children do.
Who are his friends?
I'm afraid I don't know.
Where does he spend his time when he isn't in school?
Out playing, I guess.
Well, Mrs. Morton, can't you tell me something specific?
I'd like to, but, well, I'm afraid I can't. Look, Mr. Taylor, all I care about is getting him back. What can we do?
Can you raise the $2,000?
Oh, yes.
Well, the note states that if you're willing to pay the money, you should take an ad in the morning paper.
I'll do that right away.
Good. I'd like to take the note with me, if I may, to send to our laboratory in Washington.
Of course.
And, Mrs. Morton, I want to assure you of one thing.
Yes.
In all kidnapping cases, our first concern is the safe return of the victim. Our every effort will be directed toward your son coming home unharmed.
How'd you sleep, Frankie?
Oh, hi, Lefty. When'd you come here?
A little while ago. How'd you like sleeping on a barge?
Oh, okay.
I brought you some buns and some milk. Help yourself.
Thanks. Hey, did you get a morning paper?
Uh-huh.
Did my mother take an ad?
Yep.
Swell. I'm not reading she'll pay off.
Looks that way.
No, I finally figured a way to get some dough out of her. What a routine I've been going through. Anytime I wanted it before, I had to clip it from her purse. Say, you want one of these buns?
No, what's the next move, kid?
Well, I said in the note that if she took out the ad, then she'd get a phone call telling her where to leave the dough.
Hey, I just thought of something.
Huh? What?
That note you wrote. Won't your mother recognize your handwriting?
No, I disguised it good. Besides, she's so busy going out all the time, I don't think she'd know what my regular handwriting looks like.
Well, she'd know what your voice sounds like, so you can't make that phone call.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe we'll have Pete make it.
Think you can trust him?
What do you mean?
Well, you seen how he acted about this snatch. He was scared stiff.
Oh, you better get over that.
Well, what if he don't?
Who's that?
Me, Pete. You still here, Frankie?
Yeah.
We're really gonna go through with it, huh?
Why shouldn't he?
Lefty, that's awful big for us to handle.
What did I tell you, Lefty?
What do you mean by that?
Frankie, thinks you're scared.
Ah, he's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I said you go right along with us. In fact, I even told him you'd make the phone call.
What phone call?
To Frankie's mother.
What about?
Telling her where to leave the $2,000.
Wait a minute, I couldn't do that.
Why not?
Well, she'd recognize my voice.
Ah, she don't even know you.
Well, anyway, I ain't gonna do it.
Oh. And the kid was right.
Too dangerous, Lefty. We could go to prison for life.
Are you backing out?
If you want to call it that, yes.
It ain't that easy, Pete.
Huh?
You know too much.
Lefty, I don't want no part of it.
You've got nothing to say about that now.
I'm getting out of here.
Oh, no, you're not.
No. Oh.
Frankie, you've got his territory now.
will return in just a moment to tonight's file, which shows how your FBI promotes security for the nation. Now, a word to fathers about security for the family. Fathers, maybe you're planning to turn a deaf ear to this commercial. Okay, try and do it. For I give you fair warning that you're going to be asked a question that will have you sitting up straight in your chair. Ready? Here it is.
If you should die, how would your family get through the critical years until the youngest child finished high school? How long would your wife and children continue to be well-fed, well-housed, and well-clothed?
The more you love your family, the more serious thought you'll give to that question. The more determined you'll be to get an answer based on facts. To help you get them, the Equitable Life Assurance Society has prepared a special fact-facing chart for fathers, which has these three advantages. First, this equitable chart is simplicity itself. You can fill it out in 5 minutes flat. Second, you are guided every step of the way by easy-to-understand pictures which illustrate the unavoidable expenses your family will have to meet. Third, when you're finished with this equitable fact-facing chart, you'll have a clear, accurate, and complete picture of just what income your family would need during the critical years.
Say, that's something not one father in 100 knows. Where do I get one of these fact-facing charts, and how much does it cost?
Why, it doesn't cost a cent. The Equitable Society representative in your community will be glad to see that you get this fact-facing chart. Phone him tomorrow or send a postcard, care of this station, to the Equitable Society.
That's EQUITABLE.
The Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States. And now back to the FBI file, the baby big shot.
The future of America lies in the hearts and minds of our children. But the day will come sooner than you think when they will have to provide the sinews and the brains for our nation. It is proper, therefore, to look at those in whom our future lies. The record is not a very attractive one to examine, for it shows that of all the crimes that were committed in the United States in the last year, almost half were committed by those who are not yet eligible to cast a vote. That makes the future of the country look dark indeed. But the picture has a brighter side, because we can change that wave of juvenile crime. It will take work, hard work, and long, tedious hours. But we can make the youth of this country tomorrow's good citizens instead of tomorrow's criminals. The choice is up to us, to all of us. Tonight's file continues at the local FBI field office. Special Agent Jim Taylor is seated at his desk.
Special Agent Taylor speaking.
Hello, Mr. Taylor. This is Mrs. Morton.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Morton. I was just going to call you. Have you received any phone calls?
No, I haven't.
Well, the paper's only been out for a few hours. I'm sure that when the kidnapper reads the ad, you'll get some word.
I hope so.
Oh, I've gotten a report back from the laboratory in Washington on the handwriting in the ransom note.
Yes?
It didn't correspond with the writing of any known kidnapper in our files.
Oh, I see.
But it's the laboratory's belief that the note was written by a juvenile.
A youngster?
Yes. So, you see, I think it's very important that we find out just who your son's friends were. One of them could be behind this.
Well, I'll make every effort to find out, Mr. Taylor.
Fine, Mrs. Morton. We'll do some checking ourselves. And if the kidnapper should call you, please get in touch with us at once.
Oh, I will.
Fine. Well, goodbye.
Goodbye.
You busy, Jim?
Oh, hello, Tom. No, come on in.
Thanks. I made a special trip here to ask you one question.
Oh?
Can you make the speech?
Yes.
Good.
I sort of wish, though, it were for a different audience.
What do you mean?
Well, Tom, I'm working on a case right now that makes me feel that parents are in greater need of instruction in youth guidance than their children are.
How would you like to tell a group of parents that?
I'd love to.
We're having a Parent Teachers Association meeting this afternoon. Care to drop over?
Maybe I will. I was coming by the school anyway. I want to enlist your help.
Huh? What for?
Well, there's a youngster mixed up in this case I'm working on, Tom. And it's just possible that you could give me a hand in finding out who he is.
Glad to. Can I count on your speaking this afternoon?
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can safely say that the problem of juvenile delinquency today is a problem involving delinquent parents. If every parent made a sincere effort to learn how their child was progressing at school, where they were playing outside of school, and who their companions were, the problem would be lessened material, and the parents would be making a real contribution toward a better tomorrow for America. Now, there are countless suggestions offered, but the best solution for the juvenile crime wave is juvenile crime prevention. And this prevention, like charity, must start at home.
That was excellent, Jim. Excellent.
Thanks, Tim. Oh, did I receive any phone calls?
No, you didn't.
Caller, can you leave tonight?
Yes?
Well, perhaps we can go to your office then and start to work. Let's see if we can find out if the youngster I'm looking for is a pupil here at your school.
Is that you, Lefty?
Yeah.
Did you make the call?
Uh-huh.
Did you talk to my mother?
Sure.
What'd she say?
She said she'd get up the dough.
You told her where to leave it.
Of course. I said she should make up a package, put it under the Lincoln statue in Memorial Park before 10 tonight.
Swell.
Where's Pete?
He started to come too, so I tied him up.
Where'd you put him?
Down below.
Was he beefing?
Plenty. Hey, what are we going to do about him, Lefty? You know, even after we collect the dough, he can still squeal on us.
Yeah, I know.
So what happens to him?
After we collect the dough, I'll, take care of him.
You mean you're gonna...
I said I'll take care of him. Now we gotta make plans for tonight.
Come right into the living room, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mrs. Morton.
First of all, I'll tell you about the phone call.
Please do.
It came at exactly 4:30. I looked at my watch.
Yes.
As I told you on the phone, it was a man requesting that I leave the money under the Lincoln statue in Memorial Park.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did it sound like a young man? A boy?
No. He spoke very gruffly, as though he were attempting to disguise his voice.
Well, then obviously you didn't recognize it.
No, I didn't. Oh, what do I do now?
Follow his instructions.
And leave the money.
That's right.
Oh, nothing will go wrong.
As I told you before, Mrs. Morton, we'll do nothing to interfere. We won't make a move of any kind until your son is safely home.
I hope that'll be soon. This has been just dreadful.
Yes, I know.
Mr. Taylor, I want you to know that this has made me realize what a failure I've been as a parent. Why, I couldn't even help by telling you who his friends were, what he did. If he's returned to me, Mr. Taylor, I swear I'll never neglect him again.
Okay, Frankie. It's as far as we go.
What happens now?
I go into the park and pick up the dough.
Uh-huh.
You wait here. If I get the dough okay, I'll come back, give you the word, and you head for home.
When do we cut the dough up?
You stay home for a couple of days till the heat's off, then meet me back at the barge.
What about Pete?
I told you I'd take care of him.
Well, good luck, Lefty.
Thanks, kid. See you later.
Just a minute.
Hello, Mrs. Morton.
Oh, Mr. Taylor, Frankie's home.
I figured he would be.
Won't you come in, please?
Thank you.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Yes, I'm sure you are.
And I want you to know how much I appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you, Mrs. Morton. Oh, where is Frankie?
Oh, he's right here in the living room. Please come in, won't you? I'd like so much to have you meet him.
Yes, I want to.
Frankie?
Yeah, Mom?
Frankie, dear, this is Mr. Taylor. He's the man from the FBI who did so much to bring you home.
Oh. Hiya.
Hello, Frankie.
I'm going to put him right to bed. He's been through so much.
Oh, I'm okay, Mom.
Oh, Mrs. Morton.
Yes?
We've recovered your ransom money.
Huh?
What? You caught kidnapper.
One of them, yes.
You mean there was a gang?
No. No, only two.
Oh.
I think I will go up to bed.
Wait a minute, Frankie. I want you to hear this.
Yeah, but I'm tired.
I want you to hear who the other kidnapper was.
Well?
It was you, son.
Mr. Taylor, what do you say?
I'm sorry to say, Mrs. Morton, that your son was behind this whole thing.
Oh, no.
He wrote the ransom note.
That's a lie.
Frankie, our laboratory checked over compositions written by every student at the high school. They compared the handwriting with the ransom note. And even though you attempted to disguise your writing, certain key letters gave you away.
Oh, this can't be.
And in case you don't think that's proof enough, Frankie, your companion, Lefty, was picked up on the barge as he was about to dump a boy named Pete into the river.
Oh.
He confessed that you worked together.
I'm getting out of here.
Just a minute, son.
Oh, Mr. Taylor, please.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Morton. I wish this could have had a happy ending. But your son has to come with me to see the United States Attorney.
Frankie Morton and Peter Scott were both sentenced to a reformatory until they reached the age of 21. Lefty Davenport was turned over to the local authorities and sentenced to serve a term in a penitentiary. And so another kidnapping file was closed by your FBI. Closed because of the invaluable aid given to a special agent in the field by the FBI laboratory in Washington. In this particular case, handwriting experts closely examined 700 essays, closely examined every word on every sheet of paper in their search for the truth. Their reward was the reward every member of your FBI has when a file is closed, the satisfaction that comes with a job well done.
In just a moment, we will tell you about next week's exciting case from the files of your FBI. When the breadwinner of a family dies, what are the critical years for his wife and children?
The critical years are the years before the youngest child finishes high school. Years in which the home must be kept together.
To help you estimate just what income your family would need during those critical years, the Equitable Life Assurance Society has prepared a special fact-facing chart for fathers. Your Equitable Society representative will be glad to bring you a copy of this fact-facing chart. Phone him tomorrow or send a postcard care of this station to the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States.
Next week, we will bring you another colorful story from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Hijackers Incorporated.
The incidents used in tonight's Equitable Life Assurance Society's broadcast are adapted from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. However, all names used are fictitious, and any similarity thereof to the names of persons living or dead is accidental. Tonight, the music was composed and conducted by Frederick Steiner. Your narrator was Dean Carlton. This is Your FBI is a Jerry Devine production. This is Milton Cross speaking for the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States and the Equitable Society's representative in your community, and inviting you to tune in again next week at this same time when the Equitable Life Assurance Society will bring you another thrilling story from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Hijackers Incorporated on This Is Your FBI. This is the American Broadcasting Company. The Equitable Life Assurance Society presents This Is Your FBI. This is Your FBI, the official broadcast from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, presented as a public service by the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States and the Equitable Society's representative in your community. If you're between the ages of 35 and 45, here's a question you've probably asked yourself more than once.
Will I be alive in 1975?
Well, statistics indicate that right now there are 10 million men and women in this country who are over 65 years old. By 1975, it is estimated that there may be twice as many. And we at the Equitable Life Assurance Society know that age group will consist of people who are in your age bracket right now. Yes, certainly the chances are good you will be alive in 75.
And in 15 minutes, we'll have a suggestion which will show you how life insurance with the Equitable Life Assurance Society can help you make the most of this long life that's ahead of you.
Tonight's FBI file, Hijackers Incorporated.
Shortly after the middle of January, stories came out of the state of Florida that Al Capone had suffered a stroke. From other sections of the country came countless stories about Capone. Stories that portrayed him as a man who had once known greatness and who lay on a lonely deathbed, deserted by the many he once ruled. On January 25th, Capone died. Ordinarily, death is something to be treated with quiet solemnity. But the counterfeit nostalgia that was aroused by the passing of a man who stood as a symbol of evil was a reflection on the taste of those who shed their tears. Al Capone was a vicious criminal who lived on the blood of his fellow men. He terrorized entire cities with his mob of gangsters after World War I. He was a disgrace to America. But from his memory, let America learn a lesson and see to it that now, after World War II, we do not allow a new Capone to move in and take over. Tonight's file opens in a towering office building in New York's Lower Manhattan. In the executive office of one of the suites in this skyscraper, John Baldwin, president of Baldwin Enterprises, impatiently summons his secretary.
Ruth! Ruth!
I'm coming, Mr. Baldwin.
What's happened to this organization? I've been buzzing for you for 5 minutes.
I was on the phone.
Well, where's Walter Davis?
He hasn't come in yet.
I told him to be here at 11 o'clock.
You know he's never on time.
Well, he'd better change that. I'm sick and tired of it. Yes?
Mr. Davis is here.
Have him come right in.
Yes, sir.
Ruth, where's our last statement?
I have it right here.
Good.
Me, Mr. Baldwin?
Oh, come in, Davis.
Okay.
Where have you been? I definitely asked you to be here at 11 o'clock.
Giving your ulcer a little workout this morning, huh?
Skip the levity. I want to talk to you.
Okay, go ahead.
I've just been going over a statement of our quarterly earnings. Give me the figures, Ruth.
They're 20% less than the previous period.
Well, Davis, what do you think of that?
I'm not surprised.
Why?
The war is over now. Things are getting back to normal.
Our expenses aren't. We still have 30 men on the payroll and at wartime prices.
Want me to fire some?
Of course not.
Then that leaves it up to you.
What do you mean?
Mr. Baldwin, this is your business. I just work here. You know, we can't hijack trucks unless you locate them for us.
I'd like to remind you that 10 of the trucks I located in the last 2 months slipped right through your fingers.
You can't steal nothing when the law is standing right over it. We still made 5 successful pickups, and that ain't a bad average.
You can still improve it. I have an assignment for you tonight.
Okay, what's the setup?
Truckload of imported olive oil. Ruth, what was that name I gave you?
Al Franklin.
Oh, yes. Walter, I want Al Franklin to do the job.
Okay, I'll tell him.
Now, I'd like to remind you that imported olive oil is a particularly valuable commodity. I can dispose of it for a substantial sum of money. So please, don't bungle this one.
You, Waller?
Uh-huh.
You called here a while ago?
Yeah, I didn't get an answer.
I came in just as the phone stopped ringing.
Oh.
Well, anything doing?
Yeah, Baldwin spotted a truckload of olive oil. He asked me to give you the job of knocking it off.
What's the story?
Somewhere near 10 o'clock tonight, the truck stops at a diner just outside of Newark.
Mm-hmm.
One guy on the truck, he goes in to eat. You take over.
I see. Do we have duplicate keys?
No, he just crossed the ignition wires.
Say, is olive oil waste much?
Yeah, a good score.
What about us? Do we steal a little, too?
Naturally. Use the regular routine. Stop off here at our drop first, unload a few cases, then move on down to Baldwin's warehouse.
Right.
And don't get greedy. Don't take more than 10 cases. Remember, Baldwin's paying us to steal for him, not from him.
The following day, in the New York field office of the FBI, Assistant to the Agent in Charge, Edward Garland, has just summoned Special Agent Jim Taylor to his desk.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Garland?
Yes, Jim. Sit down.
Thank you, sir.
I've just been talking to the New Jersey State Police.
Yes?
A truckload of olive oil was hijacked last night outside of Newark.
Oh?
The truck was found early this morning by the New York police. It had been emptied and abandoned in the Brownsville section of Brooklyn.
Any trace of the hijackers?
No, they made a clean getaway.
Any leads?
Nothing as yet.
That's the fourth hijacking over there in the past 3 weeks.
Yes, I know it. I don't think there's any question, Jim, that we're dealing with an organized gang. The pattern has always been more or less the same. The truck movements were spotted, no violence.
And in each case, the truck was found abandoned in Brooklyn.
Right. Come in.
Mr. Garland?
Yes, Henry.
Our Newark office just called.
Yeah?
They've located a witness who saw the hijacker drive the truck away last night. He believes he can identify him.
Oh, Henry, why did he wait this long to turn in the information?
He didn't know the truck was being stolen until he read about the theft in this morning's paper.
Oh, I see.
Newark will get in touch with us as soon as this witness has gone through the files.
Fine. Jim.
Yes, sir?
I want you to go over to Brooklyn and check that abandoned truck. Examine it carefully, then report back here to me.
Good morning, sweetheart.
Morning, Walter.
Baldwin in?
Yes, he's expecting you.
How's his disposition?
Terrible.
That figures. Well, I guess I better go on in.
Okay.
How are you this morning, Mr. Baldwin?
Hello, Walter.
Well, everything worked like a charm last night. Franklin knocked off the olive oil, put it in your warehouse, drove the truck to Brooklyn, left it there.
Yes, I know.
Pretty good haul, too. Must be worth about 10 G's.
It could have been worth more than that.
What do you mean?
As you probably have gathered, I pay the informers who tipped me off about the trucks we later hijacked.
Yeah?
They generally let me know the approximate value of the load.
Uh-huh.
Lately, there have been several discrepancies between what I had been promised and what actually turned up at the warehouse.
You mean they gave you the wrong information?
That was my first impression. But then I noticed that in each instance where these discrepancies occurred, the man who'd hijacked the truck was Al Franklin.
Well?
On last night's job, I obtained the exact number of cases of olive oil that were loaded in that truck before it started out. That's why I requested that Franklin do the job.
Yeah?
His delivery to the warehouse was 20 cases shy.
20 cases?
Walter, I will not countenance thieves working in this organization.
No, of course not. You're running a legitimate grift here.
Exactly.
Well, look, what do you want me to do with the guy?
I'll handle this. I intend to conduct a thorough investigation. Find out if anyone else is working with him.
I can do that for you, Mr.
I'd rather do it myself. Arrange to have him meet me at the warehouse tonight.
Well, Mr. Garland, may I come in?
Yes, come ahead, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
Well, how'd you make out?
Well, I spent about 2 hours going over the abandoned truck.
Any results?
I picked up a number of sets of fingerprints, but I have a hunch that they belong to the men who legitimately worked around the truck.
Yeah, that's probably true.
There were no prints at all on the steering wheel or gear shift. They'd all been carefully wiped off.
What did you do with the prints you did get?
I sent them on to the Identification Division in Washington.
Good.
Oh, have you heard anything from Newark?
Yes, they called about a half an hour ago. The witness identified a picture in their files.
Oh?
He seems certain it's the man he saw drive away in the truck.
Who was it?
A small-time hoodlum named Al Franklin. Has a long record.
Has he ever been mixed up with hijacking before?
No, but he's always worked with an organized gang of some sort.
Any idea where he can be picked up?
I just checked on that.
And?
I got a report that he's living right here in New York City.
Did you get an address?
Yes, I want you to get right over there.
All right, sir.
Jim.
Oh, sir?
I'm certain that Franklin is only a small cog in this hijacking set, but he could tell us who the big fish are, so let's get him in here.
Who is it?
Me, Al.
Oh. All right, come ahead then.
Okay.
Why don't you use your key, Al?
I forgot it. Hey, what's with the hurry call?
I had to see you.
Yeah? What for?
We got trouble.
What do you mean?
First of all, I told you not to get greedy. I said take no more than 10 cases.
Okay, so I took a few more.
Yeah, so you took a few. You took 20. That was too much.
Why?
Baldwin knows you clipped him.
How?
Look, he told me today he's been suspecting you right along. He found out how many cases the truck was carrying before he put you on the job.
You mean it was a frame?
That's right. He wants to see you tonight at the warehouse.
Yeah? What about you?
I'm clean.
You mean that's what he thinks?
Yep.
Well, what do I do?
I got that all figured out.
Yeah?
You can't keep the date at the warehouse. I don't want him to find out about this little drop we got here.
Mm-hmm. What then?
Well, like I told you, Al, I'm clean. I want to stay that way.
So?
So Baldwin don't talk to you. Ever. Sorry, Al.
We will return in just a moment to tonight's file, which shows how your FBI helps provide security for your country. Now let's talk briefly about security for those who want to be independent as they grow older.
Don't make me laugh, Mr. Cross. You know how taxes and the cost of living have gone up. Why, the only man who can be independent as he grows older is the fellow who's already got a big bank account.
Ah, that's where you're wrong. Thousands of men, many of them earning much less than you, are looking forward to complete independence in their 60s through an Equitable Life Assurance Society Independent 60s plan.
Well, I'm from Missouri, Mr. Cross. You've got to show me how this plan works.
The Independent 60s plan of the Equitable Life Assurance Society has these three features. First, it costs considerably less than you probably think, especially if you're covered by Social Security. Second, you can create your retirement estate for the full amount the moment you sign the contract. You don't spend years wondering whether or not you're going to accumulate enough money to be independent in your 60s, guaranteed by the Equitable Life Assurance Society. Third, this Equitable plan gives you a definite goal and provides you with a method for reaching that goal. Yes, there's nothing finer than being independent in your 60s, being your own boss, able to do the things you've always wanted to do.
Say, I'd like to know more about this.
Then I suggest that you get in touch with an Equitable Life Assurance Society representative. He'll give you the facts on the Independent 60s plan and let you make up your own mind. Look in your phone book for the Equitable Society.
That's EQUITABLE.
Or send a postcard, care of this station, to the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States. And now back to tonight's file, Hijackers Incorporated.
This case history from the files of your FBI contradicts a fallacy of long standing that the ordinary citizen has believed and repeated. That fallacy is that there is honor among thieves. The simple truth is that honor indicates a certain strength of character and the possession of an ordinary set of morals. But your average criminal does not have the strength of character to resist the temptation to break the law, and he is possessed of no moral stability. Loyalty, the devotion of one human being for another, is beyond the understanding of the criminal. For his very business is taking what does not belong to him. He has rewritten the ancient proverb, and his version says, "It is much more blessed to receive." Tonight's file continues in the New York field office. Special Agent Jim Taylor is just reporting to the assistant to the agent in charge, Edward Garland.
How did you make out, Jim? Well, as you can see, I didn't bring Franklin back with me.
Yeah. Did he live at that address?
Yes, it's a rooming house, but he'd gone out about an hour before.
Why didn't you wait for him?
Well, Jennings came along with me, sir. I left him there. I wanted to follow up another lead.
Oh, what was that?
Well, the landlady let me into Franklin's room. I searched it, and lying on the dresser, I found an envelope marked storage.
Yeah?
It was open. I saw it contained a key. It was made by the Sheffield Key Company. They're right here in the city.
An envelope marked storage?
That's right. That made me think the key might possibly have something to do with the hijackers' loot. So I contacted the key company.
Could they give you anything?
Well, their records show that the lock the key fits was sold to the Phoenix Hardware Company. They're up on West 24th Street.
Did you check with them?
Well, Henry's out doing that now, sir. I thought I should report back here to you.
We'd better alert the local police in case Franklin decides not to come back to that rooming house.
I've already done that.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I see you, Mr. Garland.
Yes, come in.
Oh, hi, Henry. How'd you make out?
I've got a report on that lock.
What is it?
It was sold to a man named Walter Davis. The hardware store installed it for him.
Where?
A small garage on West 56th Street.
Mm-hmm. Did you get the number?
Yes, sir. Here it is.
Oh, Mr. Garland, we've had dealings with a man named Walter Davis before. I talked to him about 3 years ago on that West Side Bank job.
Oh, yes, I remember.
We didn't get anything on him. He's a pretty clever operator.
Henry, dig up a copy of Davis' record from the files. See if you can find out where he is and what he's doing.
Yes, sir.
Jim,
Sir.
we're going to get a search warrant and go over to that garage.
This garage obviously isn't being used.
No. Try that key in this door.
Okay. That's all right.
Let's go in.
Yes.
Got your flashlight?
Mm-hmm. Right here. Doesn't seem to be anyone around.
No. Look, Jim.
Huh?
All those packing cases over there.
Yes.
Let's have a look at them.
Right.
Shine your flashlight on that label.
Yes, sir.
Well, you've come to the right place.
Cases of olive oil.
Yeah, the same trade name as that shipment that was hijacked.
There's less than 24 cases here. This can't be the main drop.
No.
Hey, look here. Cartons of inner tubes.
Well, that pinches it. A truck that was hijacked 2 weeks ago carried tires and tubes. I'm going out and call the office.
Oh, wait, Mr. Garland. There's a phone right over there.
Oh, fine. Jim.
Huh?
Look here.
A body.
Yeah. Let's have a look at him.
All right. Shot through the head.
Say, that's Franklin.
Al Franklin?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes. When that man in Newark identified him, I got his picture out of our files. Jim, would you get the office on the phone?
Yes, sir.
I want to find out what Henry's got on Walter Davis.
He could be an important man in this case now.
Yeah.
FBI.
Hello. Mr. Garland wants to talk to Henry Marshall.
Just one moment.
Okay. Here you are, sir.
Thank you.
Hello?
Hello, Henry. This is Mr. Garland.
Yes, sir.
What did you find out about Walter Davis?
I got his record from the files. I put it on your desk. He's living here in New York City.
Did you get an address?
Yes. You want me to pick him up?
No, but arrange to have him put under 24-hour surveillance.
Ruth? Ruth?
Yes. What is it, Mr. Baldwin?
Well, where were you this time?
I didn't know you were back from lunch.
That's no excuse. I get any calls?
Yes, Walter Davis phoned about half an hour ago.
Where is he? I've been trying to locate him all morning.
He's at the warehouse.
Did he say anything about Al Franklin?
Just that he'd been looking for him and couldn't find him.
I wonder why Franklin didn't show up at the warehouse last night.
Maybe he found out why you wanted to talk to him.
Who could have tipped him off?
Mr. Davis?
What makes you think that?
Female hunch?
Well, you could be right. Get Davis on the phone.
Are you going to accuse him?
No, not until I have proof. I want to talk to him about another job tonight.
Have you got a truck spotted?
Yes, so get him for me. I want to give him the details.
Mr. Garland.
Yes, Jim.
I have a full report on Walter Davis's activities.
Good, let's hear it.
Well, first of all, we've definitely linked him with Al Franklin.
How?
Well, they've been seen together around town.
Well, that doesn't say he committed the murder.
No. Well, anyway, when he left his hotel today, Davis went to a large warehouse down on West 18th Street. He stayed there most of the afternoon.
Did you check on the warehouse?
Yes, it's owned by a man named John Baldwin. Baldwin's being investigated now. Our preliminary report on him is that he's a legitimate businessman.
Oh, I see.
Baldwin has leased the warehouse to a corporation. We're looking them up, too.
Where did Davis go after he left the warehouse?
Well, then he had dinner at a midtown restaurant. I left him there, and Jennings took over.
Mr. Garland?
Yes, Henry.
A report just came in from the New Jersey State Police. A truckload of sugar was hijacked near Elizabeth less than an hour ago.
Oh, Henry, has Jennings checked in recently?
Yes, he called 10 minutes ago. Davis is still in the restaurant.
Wow. That eliminates him having hijacked the truck.
Well, after reading over Davis' record, I don't think he'd be doing the actual work. But it still could have been done by one of his gang.
Well, if that's true, the stolen truck could be heading for the warehouse that we trailed him to.
That's just what I was thinking. Jim, I want to set up a cordon around that warehouse. If that truck should move in there, I think we could clean up this whole case.
Mr. Garland.
Yes, Jim, where are you?
I've got the car in a parking lot right opposite the warehouse.
Any action yet?
No, sir, everything's quiet. Where's Marshall?
I just spoke to him. He's cruising 11th Avenue. The other cars are stationed just as we planned.
Oh, wait a minute.
What is it?
There's a cab pulling up to the warehouse.
Well?
It's Davis. He's going inside.
Anyone with him?
No, he's alone. But there are other people in there. I've seen them through a window moving around. I think.
Hold it, Jim. I'm getting another report. Jim.
Yes, sir.
The stolen truck is moving down 11th Avenue. It's turning into your street.
Did Marshall pick it up?
Yes. He's staying well behind it.
Wait. There's the truck coming down the street now. It's slowing down. It's pulling up in front of the warehouse. Driver just blew his horn. It's evidently a signal. The doors are opening. It's going inside.
That's all we need. I'll notify all cars. We're moving in.
Start unloading, boys. I'll be with you in a minute.
Right.
Good evening, Walter.
Huh? Oh. What are you doing here, Mr. Baldwin?
Been waiting for you. Close the door.
Okay. I thought you didn't like to be around the warehouse when we moved stuff in.
I don't. I made an exception tonight.
How come?
I want to talk to you about Al Franklin.
Well?
According to the afternoon papers, his body was found yesterday in a small garage on West 56th Street.
Hey, no wonder he didn't show.
Papers also stated that the authorities found numerous articles there that had been recently hijacked.
Well, then you were right about him.
Partially. I finally realized he wasn't smart enough to have been doing this alone, so I checked up on that garage. I found it had been leased to you.
What is this?
It's quite obvious, don't you think? Franklin was merely the stooge. By killing him, you hope to clear yourself with me.
That's a lie.
Walter, you know my attitude toward thieves. I'm afraid I'm going to have to deal with you just as you dealt with him. I'm going to have to... What's that?
I don't know. Hey, what's going on?
There you are, Davis.
Huh?
What's the trouble here?
I don't know this guy, Mr. Baldwin.
I'm a special agent of the FBI. We're taking over your business, Mr. Davis. I must say, finding Mr. Baldwin here makes the evening a complete success.
Walter Davis was turned over to local authorities who tried and convicted him of first-degree murder. The ringleader of the gang, John Baldwin, was sentenced to serve 15 years in a federal prison. Other members of his organization were also sentenced to long terms in the penitentiary. And now we have a statement about tonight's case from the files of your FBI by Mr. J. Edgar Hoover, Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Mr. Hoover said, and I quote, "One of the serious problems concerning the law enforcement agencies in the United States today is the prevalence of hijacking, which has cost Americans in the past year millions of dollars. We of the Federal Bureau of Investigation are straining our every effort to break up the rings of hijackers. For just as your FBI is responsible within the limits of federal laws for maintaining your freedom of speech and your freedom of religion and your other freedoms granted under the Constitution, so too are we charged with maintaining your freedom of the highways. We intend to make it plainer than ever before to those with criminal tendencies that we will operate in 1947 on the same policy as in the past, the policy that crime must not be allowed to pay."
In just a moment, we will tell you about next week's exciting case from the files of your FBI. A little while ago, I gave you a few brief facts about the Independent 60s plan of the Equitable Life Assurance Society. To get full information, you'll want to ask your Equitable Society representative questions like these.
Exactly how much will the plan cost me?
The Equitable man has the answer.
How will it dovetail with my Social Security?
He's got the answer to that, too.
What income will it give me in my 60s?
Your Equitable Society representative will give you the exact figure. Ask him to drop around tomorrow for a friendly visit. Find him in the phone book or send a postcard care of this station to the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States.
Next week, we will bring you another colorful story from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Death in the Desert.
The incidents used in tonight's Equitable Life Assurance Society's broadcast are adapted from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. However, all names used are fictitious, and any similarity thereof to the names of persons living or dead is accidental. Tonight, the music was composed and conducted by Frederick Steiner. Your narrator was Dean Carlton. This is Your FBI is a Jerry Devine production. This is Milton Cross speaking for the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States and the Equitable Society's representative in your community, and inviting you to tune in again next week at this same time when the Equitable Life Assurance Society will bring you another thrilling story from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Death in the Desert, on This Is Your FBI. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.